Hey, all right, we're live. Thanks for watching Abad, and thanks for all the cool comments. When we get cool comments, I try to share them with the team if I'm the one reviewing. I do a lot of the reviewing of the comments and stuff. Definitely appreciate it. Cool. Somebody just responded. One of our younger followers just responded. Pretty cool. I think 26. It's always cool to see, man. Cool to see that we're getting some people interested in EQ as well and classic MMOs. People that find out about us, it clicks for whatever reason, or they think it sounds like something that's cool. Maybe they come in and do a playtest or something, and then boom, in between playtests or checking out the old stuff. What's up, XB Scruffy Bard? So, yeah, thanks for that. People are continuing to discover us via the discoverability of YouTube, and that's helpful. So thanks for the likes, the subscribes, and again, the comments. Let's see. If you watch these regularly and you're not subbed to us, then I'd ask that you do it. It's not, I guess, any number that gets bigger is probably not a bad thing. So. Hey, Rotzak. Moin moin. Defiant Possum, Bork. Tsunami-san, Darton. Today we're going to... actually, let me indicate that I am checking out the zone, because today we may play around with some environment art. Checking in. Caleb Centaur, so I'm gonna steal Simon's thing here. Checking out Veil of Centaur, Subscene 2. Get that work. Hey Talat. What's up, Nicodemus? Defiant Possum says, picking up my lunch, hold all important conversations till I get back. That shouldn't be hard. Whoa. That was bright. Hey, Longilla. Let's go into the actual scene. Let me know if the music levels are okay. How'd your week go? How is it out there? Everybody hanging in? Ready for the weekend? Oh, I forgot that. Nicodemus. The old Gizmo quote. Bright light, bright light. I love, what was his name? Stripe? The main gremlin. There's like Gizmo caca. Liking Ashes of Creation so far? Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, Sarenth. Unchained. Yeah, I mean, they've got a... If they pull off everything they're trying to do with AOC, it's, should be a good game. They got a lot going on. So where does this asset exist? In Subscene 2. Good. I'm doing pretty good. All right, let me actually go. Let me start where I want to check some stuff out. Water looks great. Yeah, we're using Crest for the time being. We may do as Pantheon said, we may follow their lead. We may use Crest and then later see what Unity 6 provides, but we started using this water because one of our team members has his own indie games. Games called Salt 2. Salt 2 has come out since we've been working on this, and it's what he uses in those games. You have a pavilion reserved on the beach Sunday and getting a sore throat. That's no good. Bad timing. So let's try something here. I'm going to try making some really big... So this is a normal table size because this is a giant tent. Let's see which table we like best though. Let's create a new folder or a new parent within subscene 2. We'll go here, subscene 2, we'll create an empty parent, which we will then rename Giant Furniture. Happy Friday, Chinny, what's up? Things going good, how are you doing? Hello, Dozakar. Did you guys do this in your guild whenever somebody came in for the night? Like, this is what first got me to start using the MMOs are Cheers, like the TV show Cheers. MMOs are Cheers analogy. Right? It was one of the things that really just kind of clicked for me, especially once I got in a bigger guild. Like, I would come in and I'd be like, hey guys, and everybody would say my name. They'd be like, it wasn't Azrael, that was my GM name. Like, something like Dravel or something like that. Dravel, hey Dravel, hey. And everybody said hi every time somebody came in. And, yeah, it was very much like Norm from Cheers, right? Norm, that. Did your guilds do that? Hey, Keith. Darton, did I say hello to you? Your guilds did that? You know what we should do, guys? Because why not? It's not like we mind spam, right? You regulars, when you come in, you should say hi, guys. And then, because we're a guild, right? We hang out. So you guys come in and say hi, and then everybody say hi. Hi, Sarah, right? And it'll just be a constant spam. But wouldn't that be nice? You gotta get some. Did you have those days where like, yeah, Sarah, exclamation mark, there you go. Tier laid, thank you for the follow. So I want to encourage that. I want to encourage that behavior. If you're gonna be here, you might as well do that shit. Darden said, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to be able to talk. I think one of the main issues with that now is a lot of guilds, even in EverQuest, but mainly newer genre games, all require voice chats, and they are in individual groups within those voice chats, so you don't get told hello or anything. Yeah, that's lame. Don't do that in our game. Voice chat. We're going to disable your voice chat. I see a lot of you people talking in our playtest, though. Unhurt, we're gonna bring it back. All right, guys, we got to start bringing it back. I'm not kidding about this. I'm gonna start harping on it. Anything less than you doing is gonna be considered like unacceptable. Which table do you feel looks most like it should be made giant size? This picnic table? Does the card say I prefer the 90s social internet experience of only text? Exactly. So do I. That's not true. I love hearing people's voices, but still. Cross-leg table? You think cross-leg table? What about the simplicity of this one, though, as it's taller? Because when this one, we're about to make it really big. There may be less for you to, like, bang your face on. Maybe your job title should be guild leader instead of mad prophet. Employees for NWC or guild officers. We may have to do that. Double it up. Alright, I'm going to make a command decision real quick and just make this one big. We'll have to double up our roles and responsibilities. Stinkon. Whichever one has the biggest legs. Is that your personal preference? Big legs. Final Fantasy XI taught you algebra via Final Fantasy XI skill chain damage calculation. I can see people that are into theory crafting learning all sorts of interesting stuff as youngins. I went from Mavis Beacon to EverQuest teaching me how to type for sure. Are there any stone tables? I don't think there's stone tables with the variety of that we need for this. I don't think. We've got like a stone that's good for a chair or whatever. But you know what? We're gonna wing it. I think the fact that we've got a gonna have a giant table will be satisfying. Even if it doesn't even make 100% sense. I remember not knowing what dubious meant, and why the back consider me that. Yeah, learning new vocabulary words from fantasy novels was a big thing for me as a young man. I had a very colorful vocabulary as a young man, just because I read a ton. For my first couple years in Alabama in school, man, I was just like Mr. No Friends, and so I was just always reading in the stairwell, reading after class or whatever. Finish your work early, read. Dude, I got detention so much. I know that feeling. Had bad social anxiety and stuff. Yeah, me too. I kind of go from, I'm kind of shy, or I used to be kind of shy at first, and then once I like got to meet people, I was like super Mr. Social, class clown, and then finally I got out of it. I stepped out of it. One day I decided that I was gonna stop being shy, and it completely changed my life. And then my last 2 years in high school, I was just like Mr. Talk to everybody, friends with everybody. I remember the first time I heard of an EQ guild or IRL meetup. Thought it was a crazy bad idea. I was wrong. Oh man, fanfares were so. Fanfares were so fun. I see you guys talking about trading and trade skills and stuff. Fun conversation. Sorry that I'm not reading it all out. Yeah, Defiant Possums. There's some stuff like that going on, like just guild meetup. I think that's super cool. Super healthy. Super nice. Keith asked, would you say to not be shy, you have to be okay with being a bit vulnerable with others? Yeah, but when you say it that way, it sounds like scary as well. Right? Like, oh, you gotta be vulnerable. I think the vulnerability maybe comes, for me, it came from a place of, ultimately, I don't know if, I kind of figured out that I don't know that, that's not the way to say it, but I also don't want to overstate it. It came from a place of realizing to some degree that it didn't matter what people thought. Especially at that period of my life. And if anything, I just kind of gotten tired of it. I got tired of being like picked on. I got tired of just being the weird kid and not getting any benefits from it. Got tired of like, I don't know. I just got tired of like feeling bad about like worrying about other people's opinion and you know, that context and that setting, you know, naturally it's going to come and go. And so I just kind of went, because I hit a point where I was like, I don't know that I can keep doing this. I don't know that I can keep going to school and feeling this way. It was horrible. And so then I was like, all right, but if I feel so bad that I'm like, I can't go on, then let me just assume that, like, what if I take the path of I just don't give a shit? And so I came back in I think it was like basically, like, I don't remember if it was my sophomore year or my junior year. But I just kind of came back and people would, you know, if somebody was like busting my balls, I just busted right back. And, you know, and it just got me over the hump. And next thing you know, when you push back a little bit, like people stop being bullies and stuff. Especially since it's so easy because everybody's so like vulnerable when you're young, then you can kind of put them on their back foot. Hey, what's up, Zaid? Zaid said, really amazed at the progress you guys have made over the years without external crowdfunding. Yeah, man. That's a 1,000% testament to the team's just continued dedication and the community, like, being really cool and being there for us so that more, I mean, because the team's all from the community, right? So I think between the vibe of the community and like the progress that the team has made, we've been able to attract more people and, you know, just kind of built a momentum. But I appreciate it. All right, so we've got. Zay said, "I've got a very thick guild coming for EA." Well, we will brace ourselves for your girth, and then yeah, hopefully. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many of you guys have made it into the playtests and stuff. You know, we've got a ways to go when it comes to performance and just naturally content creation, polish, and stuff like that. My big curiosity for some of you guys that are, you know, coming in with a lot of experience in like organization and stuff. It'll be interesting to see what the retention's like for you guys, right? Like, is it something where you come in and you recognize it's early access and, you know, play and then are excited for you maintain your excitement for the vision of like, all right, this is what we want to achieve by 1.0, and it becomes a thing that folks are willing to replay and master and things like that. Or yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see if it's something where you come in and the novelty wears off a little bit, and it's kind of like, okay, well, and I'm not just saying with you guys, just in general, like, will it become a good new home for like folks that are coming from places like P99 or EQ or whatever? So so we'll see. We'll see. All right, so we got this big ass table. What I want to do is actually I want to get one of the other props in that's a normal size and throw it in here for perspective. Unchained said, met up with a P99 buddy this July and we had a blast. Never seen each other before. How long had you played with each other before? Oh, I didn't have to close that. Dev palette. I really need to find where I saved my dev palette. What's on this one? Oh, it's just scenes. Okay. What Patrick have on his? Model parts. Interesting. Look here, palette. What's there? Let's try that. Canoe. We'll put a canoe on this guy's desk. This sand giant got himself a canoe. That's the sushi boat. Still. This is the start of game inside a game right here. Dare me to put a corpse in it? Do we have a good corpse model, like something that's laid out like a corpse? I know we've got some skulls because I was using them in the other zone. I need to find my palette and get a palette set up. So let me go here. Prefabs. Darton says it'll be a new MMO. Everybody knows EQTOP servers are all Zerg, and it will be. I don't know, man. I don't know how to converse about the game in guilds and stuff when you guys. I'm not saying you particularly, but whenever like, oh, this guild or oh, I'm Zerging or oh, it's like, I gotta watch the negativity, buddy. Not just because I'm trying to be politically correct within the context of game politics, whatever that is. You know what I mean? But like hey Liz Biscuits, how you doing? If you can't build your own model ships in this game, it won't be worth a sub. We'll put that on our stretch goal list. I haven't talked to Nick and Ollie about that. We should make a legit. We should make a like sub stretch goal thing for early access. That way we have stretch goals, but we're still not asking you for any cash. We're just saying like, hey, if you stick around long enough, then we'll have the cash to do X, Y, and Z. Zaid says, people need to understand that a real MMO launch isn't like a single server launch. There are many servers for the players to spread out. The bottlenecks and disputes over resources are not as frequent as what you might experience with like a fresh P99 server or EQ TLP. Also, without instancing to the incentive to Zerg is greatly reduced. So it's interesting. One of the original arguments for instancing was to cut down on encounter zerging. I know we're talking about something different, but yeah, makes sense. With instancing, I can build a guild of any size because I can just kill 10 negatives instead of 1. Yep. Yeah, man. The pacing enforced through old school gearing up and limited targets is definitely a how do I say this without like, you know, it's a help. It's a help. Definitely stretches out the time a bit for folks in terms of content consumption. I have not been putting all this shit in the right spot. Let's put it in here. Put it in giant furniture. Let's make that the default parent. What's up, Zukin? Quorum suffered terribly the first few days from lack of instances to spread the noobs about to the point people stood and spawned and wouldn't move. I mean, that used to be part of the experience though, right? Put a palm tree in a big pot on the desk. Lemon candies, that's a pretty cute idea. Just don't make rating the only thing that matters at the end game for character progression. A lot of these problems solve themselves. True. All right. So I'm going to save this for now before we get too crazy. So, and then we're going to go to zone. I would love a new P99 green. I think we say it every stream, right? I am so grateful for Slack's remind me later feature. Crescent says, I think it's weird to not have the in-game solely focused on rating because you're designing a game by definition around massive amounts of players, but then telling them the best gear comes from 5 to 6 man content. Seems inconsistent. How is it inconsistent if the bulk of the content leading up to that is around a 6-player, up to 6-player grouping construct, and then we say, oh, but by the way, then the better stuff requires multi-group grouping constructs, and that's how you're going to progress from that point forward. That seems like it's an inconsistency that's become an expected inconsistency for a lot of folks. Not trying to argue that, I'm not saying we're not going to have any multi-group content or whatever. I just think it's in the, you know, but right, but isn't the idea of these games built around communities? But if you're saying that the thing that enables communities is multi-group combat, then what's the first X percentage of the game? 90%, 70%, 60%? Is there no community before raids? I mean, the thing is, and at the end of the day, I won't be shocked if we wind up just falling back on rating like everybody else does, because there's a reason why every team falls back on rating. Because now it takes you 3 times the effort, depending on the loot output. It takes you 3, 6, whatever times the effort to get, again, a small amount of loot. And if the game's done, and listen, man, I haven't been a raid developer for a long time. I can just speak to my previous experience. I could be out of date and shit. And I know that rating has changed dramatically over the years with instancing and different like quality or difficulty levels of raids and blah, blah, blah. But like the general idea back in the day was it takes you, it takes you X amount of time to gear up because you're playing the gear slot machine, right? It's RNG. And so you're going to places. Those places are often contested, so maybe you're standing in line as well for a certain piece of gear. So not only is it random, the designers at the time really probably weren't carefully considering probabilities and looking at the actual expected time implication per rare item that kind of got freestyled. And so the situation was, if the game's balanced properly with rating in mind, or gearing in mind, you've got to get better quality gear in order to participate in more difficult content, whether that's group or raid content, because the bulk of your power is coming from that gear. So we've already got like a natural progression limiter there, and then it's about how quickly can you get enough of the appropriate people geared up to be able to move up that progression curve. And so the second you start making that multi-group content, then you start stretching that out even further. And with that multi-group content, it's also on a slower turnaround time because the respawn rate's not every 6 minutes or 12 minutes or whatever. Often you're waiting for multiple days then. And so, yeah, it stretches things out quite nicely for developers. And it's sexier, right? Like, even if the dragon does the same shit, even if the dragon is like the most dead-ass simple dragon as like just a group mob that you put in there, it's still a big dragon. That's exciting, right? And it took a bunch of you. And then the other thing that's a big help with raid content is, one, there's the logistics, right? Like you've got to be able to organize all those people. And I know that's a very fun part of the game for some people who want to organize those people. We've got, like Nick on the team was learning his first leadership experiences as an 11-year-old organizing raids, right? To tell his story out of turn, I guess, a little bit. And so the assembly of it, the mustering, that's exciting, right? Like, anybody's been in an army or played a team sport, you got to get everybody together and you're fucking hyped up and all right, we're going to do this. And especially if you're ones that are kind of on the leading edge. So it's like, oh, cool. Like we're number one. Anyways, but you got to get everybody there. You got dumbasses like me that are getting lost or getting killed on the way. And then somebody's got to go give me a res or, I'm not geared properly. And so then it's like, oh, my invis popped. Someone come save me. Or, oh, we got to port everybody there. And then you got to buff up and that's eating up some nice time. And then like all that stuff. And then you got to not have a dumbass, stand and fire or move too far forward or, accidentally pull that mob that we're trying to avoid in and then trigger all hell. Like all this stuff. I'm not saying this is like a raid expert, so please don't think I'm trying to like be a cool guy and explain raid shit to you guys. You guys have more raid experience than I do for sure. But all the issues you're explaining also happen in group content. Yes, they're just compounded by multi-group content because it's more people. So, yeah, invariably it's a lot of fun to make raids. It's fun, like, because then the big guilds too, the people that are the fun thing about raids as well as the people that a lot of the guilds that are going to enjoy the raids the most are going to have the most shit to talk about the team, right? Like all the people, especially now, they're like, man, so amped on the game and so excited for it, right? Not saying specifically any conversations that have happened this stream so far, but I don't know. I guess I'll say it. Like, I wasn't thinking of it, but now, but like, dude, even if Zaid, I don't know if you're still out there, but even if Zaid's like having a good time in our game, on the flip side of that, there will be like podcast episodes about how we don't know what the fuck we're doing, right? Like it's going to, that is the nature of the beast, right? And so it's interesting. It's like, it's fun to make raids. I've made raids. I've made raids that were appreciated even. And it's just, because people are going to be so hyped on it and then you kind of get to Rockstar. And that's one of the problems that happens on teams as well sometimes is you start getting into this. I don't know why I'm not loading in. Is it going? No, let's try again in a second. But then you got like, oh, who can make the craziest raid and who can we, you're one-upping each other's raids, and then you got to have scripting because then you got to outscript the craziest raid, and it just turns into, I don't know, man. It can get out of hand. I think it's so easy to lose the vibe in that area of the game. It's so easy to lose the plot, and then more and more, I don't know. I think I gotta say that I think we can make fun raids and we can make raiding a viable part of the game without the sort of group base progression of the game losing its identity or value or whatever. But I do think it's going to come down to the degree to which the game is also finite and we exploit, new servers and TLPs and stuff. And just don't go overboard and all of a sudden just, keep growing the game with more and more raids and shit. And yeah, I don't know. I'll get the team to pop on one day and they maybe can articulate some thoughts better than I can in the moment. Zayd said I went back and reread the whole Legacy of Steel archive recently. Almost every post was Tiggle, Jeff Kaplan shitting on Variant. Yeah, it's a fun one to then juxtapose against once he became a developer, his Uncle Jeff's, various comments and posts and stuff about countering toxicity in MMOs. Games have gotten so toxic. Like, are you kidding me? Go back and read the FOH like updates from that era and Legacy of Steel, and everybody was trying to outdo each other, not just in like who could get a world first, but also who could be the biggest edgelord. And the funny thing was, like, people were so much like there was so much shit talked, and then we'd meet people at a fanfare, and everybody was pretty cool, to be honest. The Blizzard book apparently sheds light on how Jeff was as a dev. Not always positive for sure. Is that the new Jason Schreier book? How many times is the word toxic used in this book? I haven't read it. We'll see if I'm going to get in. Oh, I need to pull. Some stuff has been pushed since we started. Maybe that's what's doing it. Thoughts on Evercraft? I like it. I wish I'd played more, but I also just I don't have a ton of time outside of this. But I really like the team. Love Hidden Tree. He's a great guy. We've known him for a very long time now. I think Evercraft it's a lot of fun. I think it's going to do well as well. I like that their art style can enable them to do create a lot of content that looks really polished. I don't want to speak for them and say quickly, because I'm sure they're like, oh, I wish we could move faster or whatever. I'm sure it's work for them, but it's a smart move. Crescents, since you read the book, what do you think how was the tone of the Jason Schreier book? Scale felt very different. No grand cities for sure. I think it's meant to have a different vibe. It's a bit, to use the modern term, it's a bit cozier. I love the Ogre City, right? Like they do Verticality and stuff in there really well. But yeah. So anyways, to wrap up the previous topic, like in the past I've been very I've been kind of, and we do this with different topics, like the the project so far, there are certain areas where some of us will push and there'll be resistance within the team, and then others will push and there'll be resistance, and it's been a fairly good counterbalance for different topics that are, you know, fairly important, I think. I've always, I wouldn't say always, I'd say from sort of the beginning of this project, I really started thinking more and more about how do we make sure that we don't create a situation in which everybody thinks that the bulk of the game, like the leveling, early progression, in-game, is just kind of like in the way to get to where the cool shit is. And, you know, one of the reasons why we started this game was early on when we were playing together, like, especially when it was like Nick and I playing together in early in the development of this, when I was still just mainly, when we weren't even really working on this yet, it was like doing the interviews, the EQ interviews and stuff. We were playing like P99 and stuff together, and just being in small groups and doing the group content again and just camping and grinding is just, that was so much fun. That was like, can we make a game that's based that really just nails this and this is the bulk of the game, right? And how do we not invalidate that? So I've been sorry, I've been really like very wary of how we approach the raid game and raid content and multi-group content and stuff. And you know, the main reason for that is like, just don't want to make it so that that becomes the focus of the game and everything else loses its value. So we'll see. I just, yeah, like you said, Possum, camping and grinding with a friend can be so much more fun than in-game content. I don't even know if it's, I wouldn't compare them, right? Like, you know, raids are wild, sexy time at the beach, and like, you know, the camping and just sort of grinding with a good friend. That's just like your wonderful morning coffee every morning that your loving wife brings you, and you know, nice cuddle. It's you know, it's the other 364 days of the year, but they're really good days. Can't get your kids interested in old style MMOs. Not sure if it's a generational thing. How old are your kids, Unhurt? My wife brings me coffee. Yep, pretty much every morning, Keith. But I cook dinner pretty much every night. So it's a fair exchange, right? You bring coffee every morning? I go to bed looking forward to that first coffee in the morning. Upper teenagers? I give them time. Did I miss anything previously? I feel like somebody said something I want to respond to. Do you cook German food or you revert to American style meals? I wouldn't even necessarily say that the food I cook is very I wouldn't assign a nationality to it. I mean, tonight it was very much a German meal. It was threw some thin sliced pork, whatever, steaks in a pan, boiled potatoes, had sauerkraut, made some pan gravy out of the pork leavings or whatever you call it, scrapings. Very much a German meal. But a lot of times it's just like a meat and a vegetable or whatever. Deglazed it for sure. Lost you at sauerkraut? I mean, you don't have to eat the sauerkraut. You could have just ate the other stuff. I wouldn't have minded. Sorry, Tsunami-san. Cast speed of... Yeah, the thing that really clicked for me... Oops, I should wait till I'm done casting. Clicked for me when we were playing on P99 back in the day was... It was a reminder of... It was just a reminder of like how much early EQ was this wonderful place to like leave the world behind and come in and just be in and relax. And when I say relax, I know there's like frustrating moments and hectic moments and scary moments and ah shit, I gotta get my corpse moments, right? So, but for the most part, it was really this wonderful third place. It wasn't, you know, I think for a lot of people, I'm not going to say everybody, for some people, it quickly became a, you know, a second job or whatever. But it really nailed this sense of like, this was the place I'm going to go to relax and just like, whatever it is, you know, like, grab myself a big gulp and sit down and get nestled in my chair and get comfortable and just like just sit there and pull the handle on the loot slot machine and chill out and watch the sun come up and go down and hang out with my homies and all that shit, right? Like but I know it, again, I know it wasn't that way for everybody. Where did I put that damn table? It wasn't that way for everybody, and a lot of people took it very seriously, and it was like work, job, serious business, right? But if you had to ask me and go like, if you could only nail one experience for folks, I think that if we could provide just like a really solid place for folks to come in and like take it, you know, like come in and just take a load off and feel just kind of immersed in our world. I think that would be awesome. Yeah, Nicodemus, I agree. Getting up and making that first coffee is a big one. Crescent said probably a complete surprise, but I always took it seriously, lol. No, I mean, I get it. And the thing is, they're not mutually exclusive. I honestly don't know where I put this. I'm assuming I hit save. Almost lost my body in EQ once. Had to wait 18 hours because I was stuck in a wall in Crystal Caverns. Could not drag it out. Not sure if Necros could summon back then. By the time Crystal Caverns was around, I would assume so. I thought so. Kristen said, exactly. I'm having the most fun when taking games too seriously. The only thing that's a problem with taking it serious is when people start telling each other how seriously they need to take the game. Community issue, not a game issue. Yeah, I do think that there's certain things that the game can do to maybe tend to promote that, right? Like make it more likely that that's the disposition of the community. Somebody asked a question up there earlier, and I apologize for missing some of this stuff because I'm really trying to like make this thing work over here. You guys are chatting a lot, which is nice, but then I'm not keeping up. And it may be gone. Is it Meimichi? Michi. Thank you for the follow. And also for the comment earlier. Fucking, I lost it. Somebody asked me something about Eminem or something about what I learned during the development of Eminem or something. Apologies for not answering. So I'm lagging out right now because I'm streaming and doing other stuff, but also rendering this big ass mesh. And I'm trying to. I'm gonna do like an early EQ cleric and look at the floor. See if that helps. And then I'm going to see if I can get to A star somewhere here and turn off this mesh preview so I can stop lagging out. Whoa. What's the biggest mindset change you've had since working on Eminem? Asked by One More Soul. Well, I think the biggest revelation, I don't know if it's a mindset change, I just didn't have the experience with it before, is completely open development. And I would say completely open development kind of goes back to our earlier conversation about like vulnerability and like worrying about people liking you in high school and stuff. Because here's the thing, we've streamed, I think we've got something like 600 videos posted on YouTube. And that's not all of our streams because I mean, unfortunately I didn't think to like post them on YouTube early on. I'm lagged all to shit right now. Stuff like this where it's like completely open development. I probably should have restarted my machine before I started streaming. You're trying to say my PC's not decent? How dare you? But yeah, essentially, I get up here and talk for 3 hours a couple times a week, and you guys have the ability to determine whether or not you have any confidence in the project based on the shit I'm saying. Hey, what's up, Tech Writer? And it's the same thing without it's the same thing with the other guys that are streaming. And then we I mean, oops. We, try to answer as many questions as we can without spoiling certain things for you. We show you stuff. We've let you play early in development. We've been showing you since like, back when it was no art basically. And the thought, I like the biggest thing has been if we are showing you stuff that either destroys your faith in the project or in us as individuals, it's probably better that you call bullshit on us while we're early in development or while we're in development than be a bunch of knuckleheads behind the scenes and you don't see what's going on. You don't know whether or not we're knuckleheads. And then all of a sudden we're like, oh guys, we're going into open alpha 12 or whatever. And then you guys are like, oh, what is this shit? You know what I mean? Like, we're just very open with you, and then you're either gonna like it or you're not. Now, does that mean that we don't worry? Dude, I can't stream. I can't open my mouth without like worrying that I'm like, man, I hope the dumb shit I'm saying doesn't blow it for the rest of the team. What if all the rest of the team is like squared away? And you guys are like, who's this asshole? Right? I don't know if the other guys that stream feel that way sometimes as well, but that's one of those things that you got to just go, well, Leap of faith. Here we go. Hold your nose and jump in. Whatever. But that's the thing. Like, you guys ask questions all the time. We try to answer them. If we don't have a good answer, we say, I don't know, this may not be a good answer. We don't try to pretend like we've got it all figured out. You know what I mean? It's like, there's shit you guys say sometimes where it's like, oh, wow. That was obvious. Did any of us see that? No? Okay. Good thing that, you know. Good thing that little Timmy 69420 in Twitch chat just happened to like point that out. The Emperor has no clothes. Let's go fix that real quick, right? Like, the biggest thing is like the biggest downside so far is just don't want you guys to get tired of it. Don't want you guys to get burned out. So you know, as new stuff's coming on, like as new stuff's coming online, some of the stuff we're not showing or not going to show as much or whatever, just to kind of like, because it's not anything where it's like we need the input. We're not trying to like hide it from you and then be like, oh wait, your four-headed dragon is actually not tuned or whatever. Like shit that needs to be played or tuned or whatever, we'll get it played and tuned. But for the, you know, just the kind of like generally speaking, getting you guys in and getting your feedback early and often and throughout the process and having you engaged. I can't imagine making a game any other way anymore. And you see it, right? Like, these games are coming out. They've been in development for 8 years, 10 years, in some cases, hundreds of millions of dollars. And then they meet contact with the enemy, their customer base, the enemy. And then it's just like, it just implodes. Yeah, no shit. You probably should have had some people kind of just calling you on your shit. So I don't know, man. I want this game to be successful, not just because that it would be cool to have a job, and not just because the team deserves it for all their hard effort, but it would be cool just because it's like, oh shit, this style of development works. Like, this is really, really open development. This is like webcam in the bathroom level of open development. XV said, I know you don't have subs on because German tax complications, but what about Amazon wish list donation for a decent PC? I read that earlier, I guess, or at least a new video card. Hey, you know what? You save up your money and just give it to us. Give it to us later. Sean, have you ever heard someone describing an EQ CS experience that you're pretty sure was something was directly involved to you? Like, dang, maybe that was me. I mean, there are general themes, right? Like in terms of banning people or changing people's names. So it could have been me, but it could have also been any of the other like 20 people in the pit. Schmidrini said on the previous topic, Eminem definitely achieves that for me. Every time I play, I feel so immersed and relaxed like no other game can. That's the voodoo that we're trying to nail. Yeah, Nicodemus, I think it was primarily rendering lag. That's why clerics were staring at the floor. Let me try this again, since I guess I didn't hit save earlier. Weird. I'm fairly certain I did, but let's try it again. Let's open dev palette. I think I can do this while it's running. Eric needs a new PC. He's running a laptop right now. Yeah, but hey, lemon candies, it's not like we don't know how to put the canoe back. But we had picked out the perfect. It's not gonna work, is it? Or am I just lagging too much? All right, let's try this experiment again. We're an hour in and have achieved basically nothing except hanging out and talking. Open development. Concord had an alpha and a beta where people gave a lot of criticism and they ignored a lot of it. That's true. I've seen that in the past. The interesting thing I think about the way that we're doing development is it's very difficult to ignore. I mean, there's not going to say there's not stuff that, you know, people point out and, but if we just disagree with it, then we tell you, hey, we disagree. It's not. Now, if all of you in here are like, if everybody in the community just said, hey, this is horrible, then we would listen probably a little bit, but depending on the topic, it may be something where it's like, you haven't seen its final form yet. Please trust us. But we would take that pretty seriously. Is there a scenario where you think it would be a positive reason a studio goes dark for development, where there's a benefit, or should all MMO or game development be open development going forward? No more $400 million games that shut down at launch. I mean, I don't like absolutes, so I'm sure there's probably plenty of reasons to, you know, like there's the normal sort of business tactical decisions, right? Like, you're hiding your idea, or you're hiding your style, or you're hiding your whatever, so somebody can't come in and like develop it out from under you. What else? I think the biggest thing is you're asking some comment about, or make some comment about team getting burned out. I think the biggest thing is just maybe people getting burned out, but for some of these games, like for a Concord, I don't see why that game couldn't have been developed completely in the open from day one. They're not doing anything new. Yeah, I don't. You know, what's the unique selling point that might get taken by some other company and done before them? And if it's that easy to take your unique selling point or points, then do you have a defensible product in the first place? That was something that we looked at on EQ, and I think MMOs are pretty good at doing. Like, if a new game comes out and it's got a cool feature, and that's it, it's just got one cool feature, and you've already got an audience, and you got a live team, and you're doing live operations, and you're doing updates, whether that be expansions or live updates or whatever, and this new game thinks they're your competitor because they've got one feature or two features or two differentiators, and it's something you can just incorporate into your game, then you just take it and put it in. And if you do it as good as they were going to do it, and if you do it as well as they were going to do it, and you get it in, it doesn't matter if they're first or not. You just take it and you put it in there, and you're like, all right, what else do you have? And then you keep your players, and right. So I think there's a bit more to being defensible than that. So a game like Concord, I think it's just, if it was good, it would have been fine. Concord is such a weird topic because I feel like most of the complaints came from people that never played it, but obviously, yeah. But if I look at a shitty car, I don't have to own it or drive it to tell you it's a shitty car. If I look at a car and go, wow, that's completely unremarkable in terms of its feature set, and it's ugly, just as a, for example. And then, you know, some people are like, You know, some people are like, yeah, but I played Concord, felt it was much better than it was given credit for. But it's so good that it could make up for, um, you know, essentially an aesthetic that didn't seem to really resonate with folks, and a lack of just a lack of hype, if anything, negative hype, right? And these days, it's easy for different companies and games bloggers and stuff like that to then use the fact that like people made a product that is a niche product, but wouldn't didn't they didn't budget for a niche product, and they didn't market it like a niche product, but it was a niche product, and then they act like because it's a niche product and everybody didn't like it, it's the fault of the people that didn't want the product. And the fact that people pointed out that they didn't want the product or made fun of the product is the reason why the product failed. The product failed because you spent too much money on a niche product. The game failed because you made a niche game, and then let me stop saying you didn't do it unless you worked on it, and if you did, I mean, sorry, I'm not trying to pick on you. Feel free to send me a DM. But companies are they're spending blockbuster money on niche variations of product or of games, or just outright niche games. And it's like, what was the business plan there? Like, what is the payback window? Imagine if Eminem had 400 million to spend. No. No. If the Eminem team had 400 million to spend, the best thing that we could probably do is divide the money up, give it to the team members, and tell them to go make whatever they wanted to make, because they wouldn't be making Eminem. That the point that one of the reasons why we haven't pushed harder for different rev share deals with publishers, or, you know, kind of like pushed harder on some of the people that we have had talk to us, or have talked to in the past, is if we had money that wasn't just given to us because somebody was like, I honestly just, either they're like, hey, I'm an old EQ head or whatever, and I just, you know what, go make this game and have fun. Or, hey, I won the lottery and I don't give a shit, I like you guys, here's money. Like, any money that we take, a worthwhile chunk of money is going to come with strings. And typically the strings are going to be, at a minimum, they want their money back. And typically they want 5x, 10x their money back over time. And then we would have to and even just to get the money, like, we'd got to do this, but we'd have to essentially show that we could make all that money back. And we're making a niche game, guys. We have 10,000 people in the Discord, but when we were first talking about it, we we're like, hey, if we get, you know, are we okay if we have 1,000 subs, if we have 500 subs when we first release, and then are we cool to grow that over time and see if there's a market there? Right? Like, we're making a game that we're very, you know, we realize very well may not have much of a market. And the second we start designing around the idea of capturing more of the market, or a bigger market, then the more we have to really kind of start to remove tent posts. See what I did there? Tent posts that we feel kind of give the game its vibe. And the more we start to alter those things, the more the game has a different vibe, the more it's like the other game. So what are we making in the first place, right? Does that make sense? And I don't think that's a bad idea for some games. I think, you know, I really like Evercraft. And so this isn't a slight at all on those guys. But the game that the version of the game that we played, what, 2 years ago, was a bit more hardcore than the version they have now. And I think that's the right direction for them. And more, that game's getting its own identity that is different. I feel like a lot of the games, whether it be Pantheon, Us, Evercraft, or Embers, or whatever, like we all kind of, there's a lot more overlap of identity a few years ago. And now it feels like every game's got its own identity, kind of going in its own direction. And with us, like, we really are still, we're going to stick to being just kind of a rough-edged, more hardcore, probably more likely to piss a few people off with different decisions kind of game, and we'll see how it goes. But we've got a specific identity that we're shooting for. If that makes sense. If not, let me know in the comments below. Defiance, I don't know if your analogy holds up. I don't know that anybody, I hope nobody on the team is sitting here thinking, this is not a game that you make thinking you're going to get rich. You know what I mean? This is a game that you make thinking, I hope this goes well enough that we can, over time, through enough hard work over the years, and I'm not just talking about next year, over the years of work, because we're going to be working for years after this game goes into EA. You know, the hope is that it turns into a job. That's a big dream, right? Like this becomes a company, this becomes a job. And then it's just a job and all the passion's gone. Screw you guys, I'm out of here. Table flip. No Lambo Zukin. How's Embers doing? I want to check in with those guys and find out. But they're doing a thing right now where I think you can play for free. I linked Redbeard Flynn's video on the topic in Discord. So search for that. Search for Embers in Discord. Because they've had problems with their payment processor, and it's a kind of a shitty situation for them right now. But I played it several many months ago at this point. The years flown by. And I had fun, man. I just got in and relaxed. Had a little podcast going on. Was watching like some Huberman or some shit. And just, it was a nice, relaxing, you know, couple of weekend mornings here and there. And I enjoyed it. Some people were like, you know, some people don't like the fact that it's not, you know, high fantasy, this and that, and other stuff. But I'm like, I enjoyed it. So to each their own. And they've only done more work since then. I need to get back in and play soon. Yeah, Swanee. What do you think got us going? We should talk to Swanee again soon, the other day. Yeah, agreed, Kumadar. Thoughts on community-run servers to lessen your load? That's not what, like, that's not a problem for us. We're a subscription-based game, so once we have load, then we'll have subscriptions, and then we just pay for servers. Unchained said, it's funny you mentioned this dynamic. Giving a large shot of money is just like buying a newish EQ person in Epic. They wouldn't appreciate it or value it as much if there's no struggle, sacrifice, etc. Well, it would definitely be good for a number of the guys, and we could get more of their time more consistently and all that stuff. There are definitely upsides to having the money. I don't think it's that the team wouldn't appreciate it. I just think that in order to get the kind of money where we could have, you know, have everybody go full time straight out of the gates, I think it would just create a, you know, there'd be a bit of risk in terms of, I don't even know if we'd be able to build the team around it in the same way. You know, now we've got this payback window that we've got to consider. We're running a burn rate. And one of the problems that happens is, all right, so are we budgeted through launch, or are we budgeted through 1.0, right? Like, yeah, but I didn't take it bad at all, Possum. Don't need to apologize. Nephilim said, Immersion was first described to me as a passion project. Did one of the stress tests, enjoyed my time, and then learned you streamed. Shout out to Panth. Yeah, Panth has been such a really wonderful supporter. I don't know if I told the story, but Panth is part of the reason why Eminem exists, believe it or not. Thanks, Fulort. Yep, Panth is one of the Panth. And maybe he knows this. One of the reasons why Eminem even happened is because of Panth, and here's how. I was sitting in Stockholm in 2019, 2020 with my wife, then girlfriend, and had really just kind of like rediscovered Twitch and was like, I wonder if anybody's playing EverQuest, anybody's streaming EverQuest. And I said it completely as a joke because I wanted her to see EverQuest because she really hadn't seen the game I, talked about like working on a long time ago. And one of the first, if not the first people I saw streaming Twitch or streaming EQ on Twitch was Panth. And he was in Chardock at the time. And I asked him, I was like, hey, is this Chardock 1.0 or 2.0? He was like, 2.0. I was like, hey, I did that redesign. And then we wound up just chatting and stuff, and was asking him about the game and asking him about people streaming and all that stuff. And so he's what got me to start watching a couple different EQ streamers. And then somebody told me a TLP was coming up, and then I decided, all right, I'm gonna play this TLP with my wife. And then that led to like getting people from the team to come hang out and do interviews, and then that led to meeting Nick, and then that led to meeting Ali, and then that led to, yeah, that was way back then. Presence, like during that early era that like all sort of kicked off. And then, because I think we met when I was playing Aerodune, and then boom. So had I not popped in and saw him in Chardock, who knows what would have happened. SOA Dev says, Robot been following MM Dev for a while, but first time getting in the chat. Really appreciate the open development approach and love hearing your thought process. I'm wondering, could you talk about how lighting is set up in M&M? I'm working on an EQ-inspired single-player game in Unreal, but struggling with getting kind of even flat lighting I see in your project. Also, feel free to disregard this or come back later if you change topic too much. I will not disregard it, but I will say this would be a great topic for our Discord. Oh, Ollie's here and can immediately help then. And lighting is something we're continuing to fiddle with in like textures, and we're looking at light probes in Unreal 6 because right now we're using like post-process volumes, and they don't have all the functionality that we'd want, and we've looked at like using the existing light probes, and there's some challenges to get it exactly like we want, and so today even I think could have sworn Chip was starting to poke at Unreal 6 a bit more on this very topic. So if Pants wasn't in Chardock, would I have struck up the conversation? Oh yeah, for sure. As long as he was playing EQ, I would have struck up the conversation. It just happened to be Chardock, and so I could just happen to be like, hey, I worked on that zone, the revamp. How did I manage to work on all the best zones? I didn't. There's so many good zones. I just worked on a couple. Let's try. So, SOA Dev. Hey, Karak, it's Ollie. In chat is Ollie. The Ollie I was just referencing a minute ago. So he's responding to you with nerd stuff. Okay, I'm curious which ones I work on. Dude, I don't even really remember. Stuff I like, easy stuff to point at. Were things like the ones that people like get, you know, hyped on or whatever. Was I worked on Chardock 2.0. Worked on Kazakh 2.0 for better or worse. I did Shreza Basement. I did a lot significant. I don't want to necessarily overstate it, but I did a significant, if not the bulk of the work, in like Charval. Just because they needed someone to implement that, and I was an apprentice. They're like, hey, apprentice, implement a starting city. Only had like week and a half or two to implement that zone. I did the Burr or Beast encounter and got the kudos of, I don't know if it was Fuhrer or Tiggle, who thought that I was the only one not smoking crack after he played it on the team. That was a big kudo. That's my humble brag. I don't know, man. I wound up going from like being an apprentice. Oh no, Rich is probably the reason why you spend so much time camping that the halfling mask. Dude, I can't tell if this was just lag or I knew I should have restarted my machine before. There we go. Before streaming tonight. I don't know. I did some real work as an apprentice, and then I quickly became I became the assistant lead to Rich's lead. And then that essentially that turned into, that job was the expansion lead. It is a sushi boat for giant. So those are my brags. Got them out of the way. I did not work on Grieg's End. I know who did, but I didn't. Let's talk about all the zones I made worse. Oh, well, I completely destroyed the game with my push for the plane of knowledge, instancing. I did all the bad things. I'll take credit for all the bad things. The bad things are what make you good. Thanks, Ollie. Alright, so let's see if I can actually... Oh, I know what I did. Put these down here again. Come here. Save scene. Did I take Rubicite out, or was that before you did the next? I thought Rubicite was out a long time before we did the revamp. We did the revamp because people just really weren't playing Kazakh Duel anymore. Do I have a favorite zone that I worked on in EQ? Bill, not that I can think of. I don't have like a favorite. I was just so blown away. I was so blown away to work on any zone. You gotta understand, like I was such a fanboy. I went from being a fanboy one day to like being there working on the game. Like how big of a mind blower is that? To be a fan of EverQuest in its prime, like early on, and next thing you know, you're working on the game. You're putting shit into it. I appreciate that, Kumidar, and I think that is very cool. That's a cool thought. I will say though that it is a little different because I mean EQ is like out and huge, right? It was like the #1 MMO in the West at the time. And so it is really, really crazy. Save scene. Okay, let's try this one more time and see what happens. It is this one right here. This is now an 1 hour and 34-minute experiment that should have been like a 15-minute experiment. In the interest of full disclosure. But it's fun talking to you guys. That's a big part of what we're here for, right? To chit chat, answer questions, tell war stories. Thoughts on Ultima Online? You ever play it? Didn't play it like, you know, didn't play it like Ollie and crew. Played it enough to be jealous. So one of the things working on EQ, I was a bit jealous of kind of some of the depth and player in the like economic interdependencies. And it felt like there was more interaction with the world, and the world felt a little bit more placey. Right? Like it felt like it had even more sense of place. Loved EverQuest, loved what it did. But really thought that UO, like the idea was like if we could just have some of what's in UO in EQ, then EQ would be even cooler. And then we promptly didn't really do any of that and just continued to make like cooler and cooler raids. So that's kind of what we're doing with some of the things that we're pulling into M&M. This is the number one MMO for us, though. Decappy, that's so nice of you. Matsuri 2057. Weird, I was just going to ask about UO. That was my EQ. Ollie's a big UO fan. What's up, Death by Gnomes? Ollie is a nerd. Ollie's a big nerd. Ollie's a big nerd who's got a birthday coming up. About you? Birthday playtest? I don't know if we can pull that one off. I don't know. Ollie, what do you think? Can you make it happen? Hey, Esam, what's going on? Churro dude, what's up? Hard to type while eating fried chicken? Your keyboard thanks you for your restraint. Ollie's still a youngin'. Ollie said, in response to me complaining about me not getting anything done, he said, I jumped on because I've been writing this, how should I say that? GUID? Is there a shorter way of saying that? I hate reading out the letters. GUID patch for pretty much half the day. With the amount of changes I'm making tonight, I'm scared to playtest. Man. Yeah, but should I read that out each time? Each time you say that, should I say global uniquely identifying D? My D is identified as being globally unique, Ollie. Good. Thank you. One more soul. Bill says, working on M&M feels like makes me think I should have tried this long ago. Been eye-opening experience, or that might just be because of all the coffee I'm drinking. I have loved working on the project. I'm glad you're having fun, dude. I'm glad you feel like you're also growing from it. Will any races start in a snowy, wintry biome? Yes. Interwink. Believe it or not, current plan is for ogres to start there. Mm-hmm. I think Eco's ogres start in a snow biome as well. I'm going to say that we thought of it first, though. See? If we ever do air quotes barbarians, then that would be a good reason to like have a different body type. We would just, I guess you would pick normal human and then you would pick beefy boy. What's up, John? Oh, here we go. Oh, too high. All right, it's too high still. Too high. All right, we're going to fix this. What's up, Hindo? Does that look like the right height? Gnomes shouldn't be able to reach the soul. Gnomes have the same jump height as everybody else, though. We're crazy like that right now, I think. How are your eyebrows getting longer than the hair on your top of your head? Tell me about it. You want Eminem to go the Vanguard route and have run and gun, spawn, respawning? For some reason, I'm not getting the reference. Does that... I don't know that that table is even big enough, even at that height, for these guys. Seems like it should be even bigger. Yeah, then again, I think I'm curious if these guys got made bigger. Let me go check the doorway. Up. Outside of sphere of influence, I don't think we're going to see anything spawned here. Let me find a different doorway. Somebody will walk through here in a minute. Was it not Vanguard that had crazy high respawn rate where you had to basically carve your way through areas to avoid NPCs repopping? I could see how that is what was being referenced. The more I interact with other devs on other games, the more I appreciate how awesome y'all are. Really? Did they not scratch your itch? Tell us all about how awesome we are. More. Let me check the database and make sure these guys are still the same size as what they were before. I assume they are. Flattery will get you somewhere. I just noticed, can the giants fit through the tent openings? Previously I thought that it was a lot closer. That's why I'm, well, that's why I'm looking right now to see if they're the same size. The tents are a lot easier to make bigger though. I was worried if they couldn't get through the doorways. That was the one where I'm like, oh shit, poor Simon. So let's look really quick. VOZ. And yes, Bill, we can talk about stuff. We can talk about stuff. That was super clear. Good job, Sean. Aha. Interesting, Elron. Okay, yeah, same size. I think we just grab these tents and make them bigger. Simon, are you out there somewhere? Why is this here now? Thanks. Have you ever thought of using a family name system where players can take their name and use it for all their alts, etc.? I haven't really considered anything like that. I haven't. Maybe somebody else on the team has. I think we'll make the tents a bit bigger. Where are the tents located? What scene? Ooh, they may be in subscene 2. That's just the scene I'm in. I don't know if I may have to ask Simon how to make them. May have to delete one of the tents for space. Probably. I don't think so. We're not gonna make them that much bigger, dude. Not gonna make like a multi-man circus tent. We still gotta do some stuff, and I'm not gonna do it on stream because I'm already too distracted. But we'll be this weekend. I'll plop in some points of interest. So these plateaus will have slightly different themes. So they'll make a little more sense that some different stuff's going on. Well, I say it'll make more sense. I don't know if it'll make sense, but there'll be some different stuff going on. How about that? That way you can do a camp check and then you'll be able to point to different things. All right, so we gotta make the tent slightly bigger. And then that's just going to make this stuff even bigger. Which then means you won't be able to just hop onto the stool. We'll have to like cheat it. We'll have to have there'll be like some boxes, or, you know, like something like this canoe will be next to the stool, and you're going to hop up on that, and then on that, and then here, and then look around. Pretty cool idea. Somebody in chat gave me the idea. See, this is, again, back to the open development thing. We're in here and somebody, I don't know if they said it first, but I'm just going to say they said it first. I think somebody was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if there was giant furniture and then you had to like jump up on it? And I was like, That's brilliant. Giant furniture. DTX Waldo said, I'll take credit for it, no problem. There you go. Low-key, love platforming in games not intended to be a platformer. Yeah, I mean, it's one of the fun, like, getting weird spots in a game like EQ is a lot of fun. But here's the cool thing. So, and I'll just tell you guys since it's only a couple of you, but don't tell anybody else because we don't want to spoil it for anybody. All right. But you can, basically, the idea would be that you can make a footstool for a starting point. I was thinking just like a tipped over bucket or something, right? Like, let's see if I can do it real time. I've only been working in Unity for 4 years. At some point, maybe I'll actually understand how it works. Let's go here. For now, and then we'll take this and we'll go. Okay. Here. Oops, and then we'll grab it. Can I grab it? Oh my gosh. Once it's in here, I can't grab it, huh? But I can. Top of the table is a camp. Well, the thing is, you can put something up here, right? In theory, we'd be able to put like a rat. Exactly. There could be a rat up there. There could be a bug up here. There could be a goblin up here. Pesky goblin that's up here trying to steal some stuff. And you're like, wait, I'm trying to steal some stuff. And then it's like, yeah, shank you. Because that's how goblins are. But we also have mud actions, right? So you could come up here. Yeah, it could be a scroll, and you could read it, or you could take it. All right, let's see if this allows me to cheat now. I mean, this isn't the final placement. I'm just trying to get up here. Cool. Yes. Okay, we made it. Could be an advertisement for Justin's coffee shop. All right, so then you get up here. And then you use the look command. Oh, that guy needs some collision, but hey, whatever. It's good. We're learning here. But yeah, so just that idea that you could come up here and like, you know, hit look and then, oh, you notice something in the bowl and then inspect bowl. The bowl contains the remnants of what appears to be the remnants of a previous adventurer. There's a skull and an arm with a hand still attached. Inspect hand. The hand has a ring on it. Are there any mud situations that trigger enemies? I don't know if there are any that trigger enemies yet, but it can. Keys to the wagon, yes. A skeleton key. Ooh. A verified hash pipe? Sure. Tierlade said, could have some keys or scrolls easily. Exactly. Should spawn named up there. Big table battle. Oh my god, we got to do a giant hall at some point. Like a hall of a giant king, and so then that's definitely enough room for a battle. Ryan Rigor Mortis said, so stoked for this game. Appreciate it, dude. It's a tabletop battle. Oh my gosh. This is if you do if you dude, a chessboard on a giant table, that would be fun. You feel the need to roll a die 20. You see a dice. You see a die, it has 20 sides. Roll die. So if you do a mud command, like if you do a mud action on a table, then it's officially a tabletop RPG. Right. Sorry, Eric said, totally unbiased, but the mud actions are really cool. Yeah, I'm amped that you got one in. Have you done more since then, Eric? I do really like the idea that whoever it said it had about having something up here, like a bowl or something with one of our palm trees like sticking out of it as a house plant. Ryan said, I used to play MUDs and EverQuest, so I'm glad I finally caught a stream for this. I'm hoping that we are able to scratch both of those itches for you. A whole zone base where you're essentially Honey I Shrunk the Kids size sounds fun. Yeah, it's completely doable. Like, we wanted our giants to be giants for that reason, really. Eric says, yeah, I'm about 17. At about 17 in? Nice, dude. That's gonna be so handy, man. I'm so excited about that. We can definitely talk about sort of next areas and going deeper on some stuff, and once you get comfortable with that and you're kind of rolling on the mud actions, I want to talk about books and conversations. Tech writer / Eric will be helping us get a lot more of the floof in for you. Are giants raid enemies, group enemies, or could I solo a white con one? Well, that's gonna, I think, mainly depend on sort of the standard. Can you pull one? Blah blah blah. But so far they're just intended to be group enemies. Any plans for an all giant father of all giants locked deep inside a mountain? There's some history there, believe it or not. Decappy. Maybe one of these days we'll talk about that question. Sand giants move in to play their weekly D&D to prevent you must act like a miniature in their game. That's fun. Okay, so that works. I think that works. I think we can spawn stuff up. There's no reason why we won't be able to stop, or no reason why we wouldn't be able to spawn things up there. And then we'll just have to do the usual sort of pathing fixes to have them. Ryan Rigamortis, we have topped off on writers recently, but appreciate it. Definitely keep an eye out for additional postings as we go, because you never know when we're going to post stuff. But we have just brought 2 new folks onto the team with writing backgrounds, and so far so good. So we'll probably keep them around. Yeah, we had a lot of people turn out for that when we posted it. We had like 15, 16 submissions. Trying to remember. Is it summon or spawn? No. Let me see. It's so rare that I spawn an NPC. Summon NPC. Okay. SN, just like SI. Is it HID? It is. Okay. You're welcome, Ryan. See you, Sarenth. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Like I said, I am I rarely summon something this way, but I thought it worked like this. I don't know why it's not. Yeah, that's what I was wondering as well, if it fell underneath me, which would make sense. Oh, it may be on the tent. Thank you for the follow, Ryan. I wonder if they're up on the tent. Let's go see. They're not under there. They're not up here. And right as shoulders. I looked under the table, Bill. They weren't under there. Summon it outside the tent. Now we're debugging. All right. There's one. There's two. Maybe it's just because I'm trying to summon it where there's not a valid a path or a valid nav mesh yet. Yeah, I think once we bake a new nav mesh, once that stuff's in there, I think it'll be fine. It's so funny if there was a spider that's like a giant spider to me walking around, it would just look like a normal spider to them. All right. So how much bigger do we think the tent needs to be? Ignore what you're seeing back there. Where they buy their giant-sized clothes, they attack ships that go back and forth. They also they're good traders. Well, that's just making the mesh bigger, but let's say the entrance probably needs to be about as big as where the spikes currently are. Very scientific. Seriously though, Giants should have something like a cloak or a tent cover that's obviously a sail from a ship they discovered. Yeah, I mean, if we had more time to do more variation, that's definitely a fun one. Let's see, subscene loader. Guest design zone. We've had a guest kind of chipping away, guest environment artist chipping away on his own. We'll see if he's gonna finish it or not. If not, then we may help him finish it before it's all said and done. But the first thing is this can actually be lifted a little bit. I think it's not creating too much of a gap on the other anywhere, is it? Nope. Well, I can see why this was dipped a bit. We'll re-dip it and we'll just make it a bit bigger. Has the music volume been okay for you guys so far? Good? Okay, good. And then we'll make this guy a bit bigger. Let me just do 5s up here. 5, 5, 5. You guys are part of my exploratory process that I can then do faster. Here for the M&M Discord, I don't know if that's sending you to the right one. Check this one out. That's the M&M Discord. I could select all objects and scale at once, but I didn't want to scale all objects because I want to make sure that, so for example, the bowl may wind up being bigger. But the contents of the bowl need to stay small. The canoe needs to stay small. So now what I would do is, like, for this, if I do 5, and that's bigger, I'd still need to, you know, make sure I can grab these guys. We'll just do this for now. Naturally, that's a weird angle, so... Yeah, I mean, the bones really are just kind of like... just some crap there. I mean, let's look at what a normal barrel looks like next to this. And these barrels are actually pretty big, to be honest. Like, these barrels, a better size for them is really kind of like 0.75. And so that's kind of the fun with the giants, right? Like, there could just be random crap strewn about that you might be able to investigate. This is the wrong barrel. Oh, wait. It is the right barrel. I was just grabbing the wrong shit. Is there any physics placement? Like, could you drop the skull into a bowl and it just settles where it settles? Not sure how game devs work. So we've got one place. It's a place that you probably have never seen. It's a little secret hidden place. We've got at least one place in the game that's been worked on where there's some physics in the water. So there's some stuff floating in the water, and if you run into it, it kind of bounces and stuff. There's a little experiment, but yeah. All right, so we have this set as default parent. Thanks. And then if we go back here, we had something like trying to find. Take this basic bucket. We'll just kind of do it like this. But you guys don't tell anybody. But you guys know why this is this way. But don't tell anybody else, all right? Gesundheit. Tell them what? Exactly, Ryan. I like what I'm seeing out of you already. Stink, LOL. Don't do it. Don't do it. You're gonna get put on the list. You're gonna get put on the list. You see this barrel right here? Barrel or beer mug? Good question. A barrel of ale, dude, a barrel of ale for a giant is just like a little... They're just like... Dunk. Bloop. Little shots of beer. All right, now let's see how this feels. Like Andre holding a beer can, right? Oh, yeah, like a barrel of rum makes more sense, huh? Maybe it's their espresso cups. You just said espresso cup, and I just got... It's 10:15 p.m. and I just got excited for morning coffee. Beer pong with barrels. That would be funny. There's a table set up and it's just got barrels. Oh my gosh. Excuse me. Jasmine, did you figure it out? Hmm. Y'all got unicorns yet? No. Not yet. I mean, we got a horse, so the second you ask that, Zukin's probably over there gluing a horn onto a horse's head as we speak. I just had like this Norman Rockwell. I just had the weirdest deja vu about all of this, so honestly. I just had like this Norman Rockwell painting image in my head of Zukin holding the horse while Goblin's gluing the horn on its head. Like that's how game development works. Those rascally kids. Hey Bill, after I look at this real quick, I'm going to while I'm in the zone, I'll probably just do a quick rundown of what I was thinking. For hey, what's up, Robert? What I was thinking for us. Oh, maybe they'll answer your email, babe. Sorry. Yeah. No, Goblin the Horn goes on the other end. But Horn is kind of metal. How is your game different than EverQuest? Well, our unicorns have the horn on the other end. Our team monkey fires a confetti cannon. We all take a bow. Butt stallions. Booty corns. Y'all got booty corns? Hey, Kinji, moin. So, 4 years ago, even 3 years ago, I think we had started joking about booty corns. First of all, I know Goblin would probably concept it, and I would probably have an entry in Confluence for it. And then future us now is looking at all this shit going, what kind of game did we think we're going to make? We've got to take ourselves a little bit more seriously. What is going on here? Butt Stallions is probably trademarked. Butt Stallions is probably a movie. Butt Stallions 2. Butt Stallions in Europe. Don't Google it, Tupac. Don't Google it. And a C-Jack pops up. Ta-da! I needed a reason to go home early today. What, triggering the HR alarm at work? Let me see if... Cool. How does this feel as a human, I guess? Just hiding in a corner until chat gets weird enough. Right on. Like, and that is my cue. Alright, this feels good as a human even. The scale's really trippy, isn't it? Check as an ogre? Oh, it's coming. So I can't get up here easily. And the cool thing is, well, I say that, but yeah, I mean, your camera, you can still kind of see. But, so we'll have to be clever about how we, anytime we want you to get up there. Yeah, the poop bucket helps. Ooh, the collision, that's interesting. I think the collision is like a box collision for these. I may have to make a special request. Bill of Zintar is looking good with all the amazing work you guys have done. How would you say Glassplast is doing? Feel like I haven't seen it on stream much. Curious how it looks compared to previous tests. There's some stuff going on over there. That's part of the whole, as the team's gotten bigger and not everybody streams, more stuff's going on that isn't being spoiled for you guys. Should be a bag of coins on the table. Inspected, it said you would be the richest human in the world, but you cannot lift the coins. Just a big gold bar. So I gotta remember to ask the artists. Maybe what I'll do is I'll pick a table that we're gonna use here. I'll pick a table that we're gonna use in or I'll make a list of all the giant props in this zone, and then we'll get them tweaked, because it should be pretty easy to fix the collision on these guys. Oh yeah, you wanted to see Ogre. Excuse me. It's still big. It's You like how that rock's conveniently placed? A pretty good coincidence. To answer both of you though, Justin Beard, it's not a rock, it's a bucket. One more soul, real talk. Where is the outhouse? This is a poop bucket. Okay, so with collision fixed on a table, you could reuse it as pillars in a building with a tabletop hidden above the ceiling. I don't know that we may not be that we can afford to make some separate pillars. Do we have poop socks in yet? In the game, no. On the merch store, also no. Crap. Oh, wait. Aggro on. Hey guys, come in here for a moment. I need to speak with you. Okay, that's good enough. I've gathered you here today. Oh my god, there's just so much furry man everywhere. A stool may be too small for them. Listen, suspend your disbelief. We're not making a simulation here. This isn't Giant Simulator 2000. I don't want to make this stuff any bigger, I don't think. Maybe I'll make it a little bit bigger. Do I need to make it a little bit bigger? All right, the tent's big enough now, though. The tent looks right. Stools the right height, maybe not girthy enough. That is the second girth reference on this stream. All right, so we'll work on that. Hey, Dragon. That was his cue. So I think we're good there. We're good. Bill, so I don't forget. Subscene loader, load. Giant Simulator 1999 with the Prince soundtrack. It's Giant Simulator 1999. Dun, 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 dun. What are the odds that we get one before Christmas? Really hoping that can be the case. Really hoping. A playtest before Christmas. Really hoping so. So Bill, what I'm hoping to do is, as you wrap up the other work and then we can go through it, look at that. Figure we could work together. It'll be Ivan and Kumadar, Erskine, working together on the Benz stuff. And then you and I, what I'm thinking is we could work together on the population in here. I've already started over there, but what we can do is, yeah, like placing 10 nodes. That's actually, we have to get with Nick on that one. But like just, I'll run through the current thinking on some of the population and points of interest and little changes and stuff like that. And then the two of us will just kind of talk about, I'll be like, all right, hey, this is what we need here. And then I'll just hand that off to you. Be like, hey, could you, based on this discussion, can you do this stage of population? Then you can populate, and then that way it's a faster sort of turnaround time on iteration. And then you can just be like, hey, I got these in here. I want to take a look. I'll run over, take a look, give feedback or whatever. Be like, hey, could you set up the, like the following NPC record types? Maybe do these names. You know what I mean? So it's like a faster back and forth on the stuff that you've already done before, like query and all that stuff. Just because it helped me out get stuff in. But then since I'm involved sort of more directly, it gives us an opportunity to kind of talk about like the NPC types or naming or whatever. And I can make those adjustments, and it's just a little bit tighter feedback loop, and it winds up helping me out a bunch because then I'm not having to, do all of it. I can hand off some of it. Because even like here, all these mobs in here are placeholder, right? Like I've got, I think I'm only using like 3 or 4 different NPC. Yeah, just pop for now. Getting them set up, and then, but I think we can knock out changes in the zone pretty quickly. Excuse me. And then from there we can, let's just see how that goes first, and then we can talk about additional stuff, whether that be itemization or whatever, if that makes sense. going to round that up to 550 because it's going to be easier to duplicate here. Man, I wish Simon was on tonight. I have questions for him because I don't want to mess anything up without... I don't want to mess anything up. Plus, I kind of want to keep the zone checked out overnight. So, check lore on Saturday for changes. Start to Sunday morning. I think it's going to be better. I mean, I can try to get some of the more recent changes updated in there, but I think it'll be better for us to just chat, even if that's async and text. Kent2R, thank you for the follow. You know, do I know where you want you to work? Yeah, it'll probably be Oasis. Are you done with the stuff in Sangrito? Because it's not like this is a super, like, immediate rush. Poor Jasmine, she just spent 3 hours doing an online course. Like her, oh, before I get into it. Yeah, so Bill, what I'm saying is, like, feel free to, you know, go ahead and wrap up the halfling stuff, and then we can take a look at that or whatever. Just like basically the next thing you start on. It doesn't need to be like Sunday even. The next thing you start on, I want to hit this zone with you. But I also need a little bit of time to get that documentation updated. I was updating some bin stuff and some other stuff today, so I didn't get a chance to hit it. Cool. Anyway, so yeah, Jasmine just did like a 3-hour online course, like dentistry related course, and there's a 25 question test at the end. And so she finished the 3-hour video course, filled out clicked the first question, and then clicked on another tab to like look at something, and then clicked back, and it was like, "Thank you for submitting your answer." And she was like, or your test. You have failed. So there was no warning that if you clicked off, then it would just consider the test complete. So she's got to like email them and be like, "Hey, can I actually take the test?" Pain in the ass. She's got to do stuff like that. So I don't know if it's this way in the U.S., but as a like dental surgeon, she's got to do X amount of like coursework and sort of continued training each year. There's like several hundred points worth that you have to do each year to maintain your like certifications and stuff. So it's stuff like this, or you know, going to seminars or whatever. So yeah, she's kind of about it. Not happy, but we'll figure it out. Ooh, man, I was just thinking about I was just thinking about the contents of these tents as well. I've got a plan. A plan just formulated, my friends. I'm so excited. So excited about the stuff that's about to happen in this area. I have to put my thinking cap on and do a little bit more thinking, but I now have the beginnings of the plan that will get this area wrapped up. Secret tent stuff, exactly. And really, it's more just about like the theme. The themes make a lot more sense to me now. It just clicked. Have I mentioned let me do something real quick. Save to here. Cool. Here. Save. Yep. Select all. Have I mentioned Excalibur to you guys? I was oh, Hindo, I'll read this in a second. I was watching a Devin Nash video last week, and he was working. And you know how like I'll bring up like MS Paint or whatever or Notepad and then converse on that, and he had one that just looked really great. And I was like, what was that? I went back and looked. It's funny because he was talking about like other stuff in marketing and all that, but he had an EverQuest t-shirt on. Towards the end of his stream, he was like playing EQ in the background. But I looked and saw his Excalibur and I was like, holy shit, that is super handy. So here, I'll show you kind of how the process works sometimes. And we typically use paint and stuff like that for something like this, but like I like using this now. And I'm sure it's like a ton of other programs out there, so I'm sure everybody's got their own favorite flavor of this type of thing. But for example, we can go here. Take a quick screen grab. Well, I say quick screen grab, but I mean my machine's so laggy tonight. I promise you, before Wednesday's stream, I will restart my machine and it will be less laggy. It's not that my machine's that bad. It's just I think Unity's got some leaks sometime, and you know, throughout the day, like more several days working without restarting my machine, it's just never a good idea. So anyways, it's got glaring mode, dark mode. So all you cool folks, you've got your dark mode. Naturally, you can do this. It's like vector based, so it's really cool for I don't like the color choices as much in dark mode, like the default color choices. I like the light mode better, honestly, for default, but streaming you guys. Like, so anyways, if I do something here, it's great because now it's, oops. I say that. Let me lock this image in the background so I can lock this. All right, so now whatever I just scribbled, I can manipulate as well. Text. A lot of note taking going on usually, so We can go, oops, caps locks. Then once I've got that, you know, we can move it. So if I say like, armor, usual, throw something, it's cool. Everything kind of scales, can zoom in. Right. So it's really handy when we're brainstorming, because essentially it's just whiteboarding. Usually what we'll be doing is, we're usually on like we're doing huddles, screen sharing when we're doing this type of stuff, so that we can kind of talk and just use everything as a whiteboard. You know, take quick notes. We need to. So yeah, it's just it's nothing special, nothing that exciting for you guys probably, but just these little tools like this over the years of the fact that they've gotten so intuitive, so easy to use. It just helps the collaboration so much. But anyway, so in the future when I'm drawing really epic swords on screen, I'll just use this instead of MS Paint. Bindo. I guess Bindo will work as well now for forever. That's your new nickname. Said that sucks. I took a certification earlier in the year that was 100 questions. It let me finish the test and told me I passed. But then when I went to submit it told me there was a network error. Apparently 20 questions into my test that took me near 2 hours. They went through some network issues, so I had to retake the whole thing. Not nearly as bad, but I was scooping my eyeballs out when I finished. Oh man, that sucks. Yeah, I'm hoping they get back to her on this. She is a bit of a perfectionist and does not like messing stuff up, especially something like this. So, but yeah, for documentation on small projects, I now make an Obsidian repository with Excalidraw plugin, and put that into the Git repository because Obsidian and Excalidraw both save nicely into Git. Yeah, I've never. I take this stuff and I just throw it like snips into our Confluence and save the Excalidraw. Just right now they're local, but I could probably throw them in a drive or whatever, I guess, for folks. Excalidraw can be self-hosted also. Interesting. I as soon as it was like, here's some options that you can pay for, paying for so much shit at the moment, especially I think it's like $5 a seed or something. And with a team, you know, if we have 10 people using it on a team even, it's another $50 a month. Like, you guys will not believe how frugal we are on this project. With it coming out of pocket, we are some pretty frugal cat. But that's, I mean, that's how you get to this point in indie MMO development, having only spent like, you know, 100 grand. So many wasted trees in the 1990s from note taking and writing over black and white images printed on green white paper. LOL. Even in the 2000s, we're still printing out so much shit. But yeah, it's fun working in this type of thing. And I like their little font, their hand drawn fonts. I kind of dig it. It's not quite Comic Sans, you know what I mean? But Draw.io is nice for flowcharts. Is that what you did the one flowchart in? Valley of the Giant Dolls. Yeah, this area is this is our giant sand giant area. The remnants of well, I'm not going to say any more than that. Years ago, I made a font of my own handwriting for a project and just kept using it for all sorts of personal projects because it turns out my handwriting tends to suit my visual style for stuff a lot of the time. That's pretty cool. My handwriting's horrible. I have the handwriting of a left-hander. Yeah, I like your flowchart, buddy. This is a good flowchart. Got the feeling you'll be making more of them for us. Dude, being a lefty is kind of rough at times. Lefty handwriting problems are a real thing. Dude, copy paste is actually slightly less convenient these days. Not having a pinky for various control commands. What happened to the pinky? It got amputated. Can you remap? Can you remap those keys? But if I'm typing this, I guess I could use the other control and the other shift. I wonder, can I remap a shift and control to different buttons in Windows? I've never. Now that I see this, I have a question. How do games make their in-game map textures, like putting the roads in a map, texture in specific design, mountains, etc.? Textures are often just, they're on the specific asset. Like if you look, these are various assets. And so they're textured separately. I mean, I'm not the expert in this area, but for things like the roads that we put in or paths, if it's elevated, like this is again just another asset. So it has its textures, but if we want to paint in, we have the ability to do texture blending and then paint them in. I think there's a little bit of tool support that the artists want. Oh, you mean the minimap? I think some games do their minimap. It's like, it's dynamic. Right, so in theory, it's just like a rendering, a camera that's kind of. But other games that I've been on have essentially taken a screenshot and then cleaned it up, like painted it, cleaned it up, and then used that as the minimap. Lemon candies. I'm not gonna discuss the origins here much because it's this one's, you know, one that you can probably learn about in game eventually. We'll have Eric helping make sure that you have an opportunity to learn about some of this stuff in game. Eric, be sure to like raise the alarm when you're getting too much stuff thrown at you. Udraw says, I know they're not going away, but mini-maps trivialize things like learning a Kazakh maze for me. Don't worry, we won't have a mini-map. If that makes you feel better. Hindo, did you mean are all modern dwarves just short giants? Words are hard. Brain is fried from putting out fire say. Dude, words are hard. I absolutely I get that and I relate to that. I have to come up here and talk for 3 hours. I say I have to. I mean, I don't have to. I think you guys are. Oops. Is this the right size? It is. Turn it a little bit. Have I thought any more about the Kevlar Cyberpunk prosthetic? My youngest is thinking more about exosuit. I think that'd be really awesome for current wheelchairs starting to become more of an IoT technology. Yeah, so the one company that I really wanted the prosthetic from, hey Swanee, have a great weekend. See you, buddy. Yep. Hit us up in that DM. We'll be around. We're, you know, just whenever you have time, we'll be around. So the company that I really wanted to get the prosthetic from, that I dealt with, you've got to go through like a prosthetics shop here in order to work with them, and I did. And it's every turnaround, like every discussion was, hey, I'll, you know, the guy at the shop was, I'll get a hold of you at the end of the week. And then 2 weeks would go by, 3 weeks would go by, and it was just like, just very unresponsive and just kind of like, not, in my opinion, the best service. And so then after a bunch of waiting, after a couple months of discussion on this, finally I bugged him. I was like, hey, is this happening or not? And he's like, oh, yeah, some guy from the company, the prosthetic company that I'm interested in. Some guy from the company is going to come check it out. You know, like basically come measure your finger, measure your hand, get all the stuff lined up, ready to go for the prosthetic. So he did that. I was like, okay, great. Next up, finally. And I got the sense that, like, because I've got like just sort of relatively normal base German healthcare insurance. I got the sense that it was just kind of like not that kind of took the wind out of sails a little bit. Like, oh, okay, you don't have the fancier insurance, so maybe not then. And so I just got that sense of it. And then just the slow response, I was like, I don't know if it's just the way this guy operates or what. But it's kind of bummed me out because I really like that prosthetic a ton. And we've been talking about it for forever here, right? Like I mentioned it last year before I even got the surgery I showed you. So anyway, then finally the guy, I didn't, he was like, yeah, I'll get word back in a week or 2 weeks or whatever. And then didn't hear anything for again, like another month. Finally contacted him. He was like, oh, I've got to talk to the people at the company that makes the prosthetic. I'll get back to you. A couple more weeks went by. And like, then finally he's like, hey, sorry, I was on vacation. I'm like, okay, cool. What's the deal? And he goes, your finger's too big. Like the stub is too big for their prosthetic. Like, and it's my understanding that they 3D print and like custom print these things. Like they 3D print the plastic and stuff, and they've got metal actuators. But I don't even think the metal actuators are like titanium. I think they're like stainless steel. Anyways, but he said it's too big. And like, that's weird because I have relatively normal size hands, like, or I have normal size hands. I don't wear like extra large gloves or anything. On their social media, they show prosthetics, men, women. I don't think any kids have this prosthetic. And so I'm just assuming, like, this is surgically removed at the first joint. So it's not like I've got a weird, like a weird sort of size based off the fact that it was like through the bone or anything like that. It's fairly normal hand. So anyways, that was kind of that. I was kind of bummed out, but I follow them on Instagram because their prosthetics are really cool. So I follow them on Instagram. So one thing they posted just had me thinking like, because it was very much like, oh, we make these custom and blah, 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 and contact your specialist about it. So I just commented on their Instagram like, it's an American company though. It's not even a German company. It's a European, like or a Scandinavian company bought them, but it's a US company. So anyways, I posted a comment on their Instagram just saying like, was like, hey, this is kind of a bummer because I really like your stuff. Been looking at it for over a year, blah, blah, blah. And then my experience with the agent was, just very disappointing. And I'm curious if it's because of my insurance or because it's really my hand. That just seems odd. So anyways, a representative from their company on Instagram, like contacted me or no, commented and said, hey, Dark Inside. Commented and said, send me a DM with your information and I'll follow up on it for you. And so, because it was like somebody from the company that owns the prosthetic company, that's based out of Europe, is where I posted it. And so, somebody from their company contacted me like a couple weeks ago and has been really, really good about following up and asking questions and blah, blah, blah. And so everything is going good. She reached out to somebody at that company and then she's like, oh, let me get your phone number. And then they'll call and explain like what's going on with the sizing and all that stuff. So I was like, all right, cool. But that was last Thursday. So it's been over a week and I haven't received a call yet. So I'm going to let it roll until next week a bit. If I still haven't heard anything, then I'm going to contact her again and be like, hey, this is basically the same experience I had previously with the lack of responsiveness. So I guess it's probably just the way your company works, but I really appreciate her help. Hannah, if you're out there, your assistance has been top notch. I appreciate the effort. I know that when you're working in customer service, you can't control your company. So thank you very much for the good service. But yeah, I at this point I'm seriously doubt that I'll be getting anything from that company. So next year we're gonna wait. We've already spent too much money. We've got too many hobbies. But next year maybe we'll buy a 3D printer, or if there's like a ridiculous sale from like Bamboo this month, then maybe we'll get one. But we'll just get a 3D printer and start working on seeing if I can improve on the old ass the old yeah, Nicodemus is standard amputation. The old design, because there are a couple like open sourced prosthetic designs for the pinky, but not super impressed so far. But I found one that's got a similar 3D printed actuation, like design with actuators and stuff, that that looks about like the design of this one place. And so what I would do is I would see if like we could use that as the basis for a new 3D print, like a leaner 3D print design, because his is pretty clunky. But even in there he says even in there he says that the design is one he wanted to improve on, but the problem is he said that like 4 years ago or whatever, and never updated the design. So I mean it's not rocket science. It's here. I'll show you the prosthetic that I wanted. Wow, so laggy. So Naked Prosthetics is the company that makes it. Oser is the company that bought them. Mind the lag. So that's it. I mean, that's it. That's all we're talking about. And I think you could 3D print the design, get it all worked out to where the mechanics work well, and then from there take the 3D printed actuators and stuff and just send them to have them manufactured in metal. Highly recommend Bamboo Lab X1, great printer. Yeah, I've seen some really good videos from people that aren't like 3D printer people, like people that do other stuff, and they were pretty amped up on the Bamboo Lab stuff. Yeah, that's it. But I wanted one that actuates pretty cleanly, just because then it'll be easier for me to type. Because I've got to do this now. Every time I'm doing like copy paste or whatever, I'm doing this. And look at the difference in reach. Like this. Oh shit, what's the easy way? That versus that is kind of so I'm constantly twisting my wrist now, right? Like I'm constantly having to. Yeah, Bill, if you want to. If you feel like it, I'd appreciate it. Again, I think we'll figure it out, but You got some big brains over there. Is this a recent life change? Yeah. I had the finger amputated on February 29th of this year. And then a bit later, like a month later, I had shoulder surgery as well. And have recovered well from both of those. I mean, honestly, for the most part, my finger's fine. Like it, you know, it's just, this knuckle is broken as well. So my overall grip strength has been a little less than ideal. I'm left-handed. But I've been able to start lifting again without much problem. The main problem is like with grip strength, I just use a strap on that side. So if I'm like deadlifting or anything like that, then I can just nah, it hasn't been a long time thing at all. Less than a year. And so grip strength's a little shit, but it's getting back there. And then shoulders really recovering pretty well now. There's only like one direction that if I move in, it's kind of it'll remind me that I've had surgery. But everything else is going good, so I've been able to live consistently again. I appreciate it, Robert. Oh no, don't be sorry it happened to me. It's just some shit. It was, I mean, it's wear and tear on the body, and then a little bit of like me being a dummy and paying the consequences. You know, paying the consequences. Is that the phrase? Effing around and find out. Clockwork style prosthetic would be badass. Yeah, I want something fancy. Your dad and father-in-law both have finger amputations from their youth, have adapted really well. Yeah, this is probably the chillest one that you could have. My dad had his left thumb ripped off at the first joint as well. When he was a kid, he got it ripped off on a go-kart race on a fence, and so he always had that. And I think a thumb's a bigger deal than a pinky, but makes for an interesting grip on a pistol, though. I found when shooting with Jasmine recently, and it makes for an interesting grip because it doesn't wrap all the way, so that was interesting. What caused it, if you don't mind? I ripped the bottom tendon. So there are two tendons that sort of control the movement there, and I ripped the bottom one, and so it's causing my finger to invert, right? So it's like it was so gnarly seeing it like twist. I've got pictures of it, and it's just like the tendon was just no resistance. I was just constantly pulling my finger back. And the options were going to be they could cut my finger off at that joint and then pin it together, and then my finger would always be stiff, and I just felt like that would always be in the way for the stuff that I like to do. Or they could do some pretty low chance of success surgeries to try to get it to articulate again, but they said it probably would never articulate. It'd always be a bit stiff. And so I asked them if they would just amputate it instead, and they were, Jasmine was like, they're not going to amputate your finger. Like, I'm going to ask. Like, I don't think they'll just chop it off, dude. And so I was like, hey, you gave me the two options, and was just and I was like, well, I don't want to be crass or weird or rude or anything, but can you just chop it off? And he like sighed a little sigh of relief and was like, yep, we can do that. That's the third option. It's very easy to do. If you don't mind, did you keep it? They wouldn't let me keep it. It's Germany, man. They're pretty picky about shit like that. You can't keep your fingers. You can't import your loved one's ashes. They got rules for everything. For being so open about stuff you can do with your body parts when you're alive, they sure have a lot of rules for what you can do with dead body parts. Yeah, you can't if the only way, like, because my dad died this year as well, and we had him cremated. We were thinking about bringing some of the ashes in and read up on it, and the only way that you're not allowed to possess the ashes in your house. So it would have been okay if I had a destination that was like a cemetery or something that they were going to. I could work with them to import them, to have them sent directly there, but you're not allowed to be in possession of them here. What brought you to Germany, and which part, if you don't mind me asking? Which Munich? I live in Bremen. I moved to Germany in 2015 for work, and then moved in 2017 to Sweden for a few years, and then moved back here in 2021. Mainly because I think I can save now. Because I was working on the game, and my wife is German. Met her the first time I was here. She eventually moved to Sweden with me, got married. We moved back here because then she could just continue to do the work that she does here in Germany pretty easily while I work on this. Save scene. So yeah. See ya, Decappy. I haven't checked Discord. I don't know if we've gotten back to you today. If not, then I'll follow up tomorrow with you and some other folks. You can do anything you want with your body in Germany as long as it's attached. Yep, that's kind of it. Cool. So we have updated the size on all these guys. I'm going to ping Simon and make sure he doesn't need to get in here. And then I will start doing a little bit of like POI placement in these flat areas over the weekend. And once the POIs are defined, once we kind of know, because we're gonna do some different themes in here. There's gonna be one with like maybe more barbecue spits and stuff. Little like this is where they come to cook. Oh, maybe it can do a bigger table there. Interesting. Okay, so one of these will kind of have that theme, and then maybe there'll be somebody that's working on like a blacksmith, giant blacksmith and stuff. We're gonna do some of those things, get those themes, because we've done some different iterations on ideas for that. So it's not the same map as what we started with, but I think some of the ideas are still valid. So we'll get all that going. And then what I was thinking earlier is, depending on what we do, point of interest wise, will also help define kind of maybe what some of the stuff in Intense is. If you kept your finger, you could theoretically stage your own death disappear, go off the grid. Be useful if you ever need this option. Dude, if I need to stage my own death and disappear, I guess I could just lose another finger. It's okay. Hindo said, interesting, just Googling up on the ashes of Germany. It's due to a 200-year-old law, which is relatively new in Germany, that was originally instituted to help combat disease. One of those made sense for today, not so much now. Yeah, it's the acceleration of just everything over the last 150 years, 200 years. It's interesting to watch different countries and how well and how quickly they've been able to adapt to some of those things. But anyway, it's 11:18. I'm gonna wrap up for tonight. And like I said, I'll work on this stuff a little bit over the weekend, but then Wednesday, if I am working, it'll probably be on something like this, just because It's visual, and a lot of the other stuff I'm working on, I can't show you. So, yeah. So maybe we'll be doing more of this. But I'll be working on it some over the weekend. Anyway, I'll say goodnight to you guys now in usual fashion. Remember, next time when we start the stream, when people come in, you say, hi, everybody, and everybody will say your name. They'll be like, hi, Mosscoat. Hi, Dark Inside. And then from that point forward, when people come in, when they say something for the first time, you got to look and see, and then you got to say hi, and everybody's got to say hi to them. We're going to pretend like this is a guild from now on. Yushoes, see ya. Nightzuken. Yeah, John, that might be the case. Robert, see ya, buddy. Moscow, later. Scruffy Bard, later. Later, Dark Inside. One more soul. Nephilim, see ya. Yeah. You have a good weekend as well. XV. Bill, see you, buddy. We'll catch up this weekend if you're available. See you, John, Kenji. Later, Eric. Unchained. Later, Hindo. Thanks for Googling German law. Everybody have a really good weekend. Be safe. Relax. I'll see you on Wednesday.